is 22 winners and one podcast. This is Stranded for Victory, and I'm your host, Poody. Today we're joined by our two-time Stranded champion, Stephanie, who originally won Stranded in Namibia and most recently won Stranded for Victory. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So let's jump in. Congratulations on being the two-time champion. I'm sure that was exciting for you.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely pretty cool. Can't lie.
You've been on a winning streak lately, so I've heard.
I won 2 games in a row, which I've never done before, so that was pretty cool too. Sometimes I'd won one, but then lost in the finals next time. So yeah, it's pretty good. But now I need a break. I'm exhausted for at least a little bit.
So I guess let's jump in. Let's start off with your return after Stranded in Namibia. I've asked you a couple times to come back. Initially, it took a while before I warmed up to the idea of you coming back. You had kind of asked immediately after your season to come back. A few times you came back to me and said,
I feel like I won the first time. I was never desperate to come back. I think and you weren't desperate to have me back. So it was just kind of we just sort of let it be for 6 years. But then, yeah, I always said if there was ever a winner's season, then I'd want to come back. So this just seemed the perfect chance. I guess I was worried as well, the target of being a winner. I remember there was some season where all the winners got targeted pre-merge. So I was just don't want that to happen. But then this season it was everyone's a winner, so I don't have to worry about being a target. And yeah, obviously I wasn't really a target this season somehow.
Let's talk about that, because on one hand, I think you have a lot of people who would think that you are the ultimate winner of Stranded, and you have the proof of that. And then on the other hand, I think you have people who think you weren't the most deserving winner. So I guess address each of those camps.
Yeah, I don't necessarily need affirmation or people telling me that I was the deserving winner to feel good about myself. I won, so I don't know what else to say. I think I played a great game, and the jury vote was 7-3-1. So the jury obviously decided, and I played twice and I won twice. So I really feel I need to defend anything.
Yeah. Do you think there was a difference in your two games, or did you kind of have the same strategy both times?
I think for the most part, it was pretty similar. I think both times I was not necessarily the biggest threat. I remember my first season in Namibia when the tables got turned a bit and I was out of power a couple of times. The other alliance took out Grant and then Christina instead of me because they thought that I was not a threat. And then I think they later on regretted that. And then it was similar this season that people I think I struck that perfect balance between I was not seen as a big threat, but I wasn't seen as an easy beat in the sense a Russell or an Eve were. So I think I was in that sweet spot where I could beat other people, but I wasn't seen as unbeatable. And yeah, I think I worked that to my advantage. I think it's because I was a bit quiet and under the radar. People saw maybe I don't know, other people as more threatening to win. But I think that I wanted people to see me as an essential part of their game, but not a threat to their game. I think I said that in one of my answers at the end. And I think that was, if I was to say how I won, that would be the quick summary.
And it's interesting because I want to get into it because I think a lot of people are going to look to your game now, particularly new players, probably to get some inspiration on how they should play this, given that you're the most successful one to do it. So
yeah,
normally we tell people not to be afraid before they go into a new season, because more often than not, a new player who plays under the radar will end up in the Eve position where they don't really have a shot at winning. I guess what is the skill in making sure you're not completely out of the running, but also not a target?
I think I just did a really good job at making a lot of the jury like me, and I think a lot of my jury relationships were underestimated by the people I was up against. I don't think people necessarily realized that Jeff Viner and I got really close just in 2 rounds, and Jonathan Penner as well, and a few other people like that. And I didn't necessarily get to play with them closely, but I still sold to them that I was an essential part of their games. They genuinely wanted to go like all the way with me, even though we never met until the merge. So I think I did a good job at convincing them to not target me, even though on paper it probably I should have been easy targets for them. But at the same time, I think I struck the right balance in that I didn't necessarily burn them to the point where they wouldn't want to vote for me at the end, because obviously they were two of my votes. Yeah.
It's interesting. I think both seasons you competed in that challenge, the ridiculously long endurance challenge.
Oh my gosh.
The torturous, monotonous challenge. And I think both times it actually really helped your case in winning. Do you think this season, had you not won that final immunity, let's say Kim wins and it's you and Kim in the final 3, do you think that you still win?
That's a tricky question because like when I was in, I think I rated Kim's game higher than most other people did. Like personally, if I got voted off in 4th, then I definitely would have voted for Kim. Just like I knew she was definitely going to vote me, which is part of the reason why I voted her out. So could I have beaten Kim? I feel like she had I sort of figured that she'd get like Tammy, Cassandra, Jeff, Penna, and those were votes that I thought that I could get without her there and against Russell instead. If she won the final challenge, yeah, I guess she would have a pretty good case because that would mean that she'd never received a single vote all game, which is also something that I was a bit threatened by in terms of going up against her. But yeah, that final challenge, I sort of, even though on like one hand I dreaded it because obviously when you see that, it's just like, oh my gosh, I got like flashbacks to 6 years ago. But I sort of relished the chance to like prove myself, if that makes sense. Like, especially because, I don't know, I guess, how do I say this? Like, because of my time zone, like some nights I wasn't able to be around as much. So I guess I sort of felt like maybe I had a perception that like I didn't care or like, and the Final 5 challenge, obviously I slept through it. So I was like, okay, this is like my chance to like prove myself to the jury that I really do want this very badly. So that's why I went all out. And I guess just like Namibia, I was confident that if I won that challenge and made it to the end, then I could definitely win the game. So that's like if I thought I was going to lose regardless, like I maybe would not have gone all out. But like I was like pretty sure. I knew it would be a tough final tribal council, but I was pretty sure that I had a very good chance to win, and obviously I did.
You were someone who had a lot of connections in a season where connections were pretty much what everyone was talking about.
Yeah.
Did that help a lot in navigating people that you could trust, or did that kind of complicate things?
Yeah, this came up in Final Tribal Council as well. And I was a little bit surprised because, I mean, there's a few people, it certainly didn't hurt. Like, there was no one in the game who I had, like, extreme bad blood, or, like, any bad blood with. Like, there's no one who I don't get along with or who I have a major issue with. Obviously, Cataly and I know each other, have known each other for a while. I've played her games a lot. We've played together a lot. Then who else was there? Like, on my first tribe, I knew Melinda. But, like, when I say I know them, it's not like we really, like, are close friends. So, like, Melinda I knew from one game. We made the end together, but I think that was it. Like, Christina and I have maybe played together, like, once or twice, but we weren't, like, that close. And, like, Russell, obviously I played his good and evil game. So that was a bit, like, weird at the start. But, like, Russell, I didn't even, like, trust Russell much at the beginning. So, like, yeah, that was a weird relationship because he was hosting me in his game that I won, like, while this one started.
Did you worry that he would kind of use that against you?
Yeah, I was a bit worried that, like, he'd see me as a threat because, like, in his game, I won, like, the last 4 immunity challenges. So I was worried that he was going to, like, tell people about that and, like, put a target on my back. Because, like, again, like, I do like Russell a lot, but, like, I'd say the last couple of months we've gotten closer, but like we didn't really talk before that.
Right.
We've never really, I think we played together like once, maybe like years ago. But yeah, I think this season as well, something I want to add is in like Namibia, I think I had a reputation for like finding a lot of idols and winning lots of challenges. And this season, I guess I think a lot of people are expecting me to like find one idol. I never did. So that was kind of weird, but I didn't need one, so...
Yeah, it was weird because I kind of expected you to dominate challenges as well. Although, I mean,
The competition was a lot better,
I was going to
I have
say,
to say.
you're talking about like all of the best challenge people probably in Stranded history.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a few outliers that didn't win, but a lot of them did, you know?
Yeah. Like Levita, Joaquin, Cassandra, and Russell, obviously. Yeah. That was tough competition. But I still won like 3, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I was actually surprised that Russell was able to dominate the challenges given the competition.
Yeah. Like some challenges I'm good at. It depends like which ones. There's some that I'm just terrible at.
Right.
But,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. Were you actively trying to play differently, or it just so happened that the competition was so intense that you just didn't even bother with finding the idols or doing the challenges, or do you think it just didn't happen for you?
I definitely did try finding the idols. The clues were harder this season as well. In my season, I remember I found one within like 5 minutes because the clue was like pretty easy. So
to be fair, I definitely have like people hiding the idols now that's like their only job and they're really good at it. And
yeah,
I don't know that I'm necessarily the best at it. So
I mean, I guess if I like needed an idol at any point, then maybe I would have been bummed out to not find one. But like I almost think the fact that like I didn't need an idol, maybe I needed to win the last immunity, but like other than that, I didn't need challenges. So I think it speaks a lot to my game that I didn't need those to advance.
Right.
So like I'm fine with it.
You know, obviously winning a season really improves your outlook on it. But some people, they think, you know, playing to win is much more stressful. How did you enjoy this season and your Stranded experience?
I just tried to have fun with it. I think the cast was really good. I generally formed a lot of friendships and relationships on the cast, especially the jury. And I think I had a lot of people who like wanted to vote for me to win. I just needed to sort of, because my game was under the radar, I just needed to sell it really hard at Final Tribal. And I was able to do that. But yeah, in terms of how I enjoyed it, yeah, it was just, I just thought it was like an epic season. Like, I'm not sure if any other series has done all winners before. So it was definitely cool to like meet all the other people who've won. And like, I enjoyed pretty much every person. I sort of asked them of like their story of like how they won their past season and all that. So it was just, because I'd been out of the Stranded community for like quite a few years, it was just nice to like get back in there and meet a lot of new people who I hadn't met yet. So I think that was what I enjoyed. Short answer.
No, I kind of feel the same way. And really, you probably understand this better than some of the other winners, but you were a part of like one of my favorite seasons. So
yeah, I love my first season. Yeah, great season.
This season might not have been as exciting necessarily, towards the end at least, where, you know, we kind of saw what was going to happen. That being said, like, I do think the gameplay here was another level. Like, I've never seen that much strategy in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And really, you could kind of sense this is the best of online gaming, or at least for Stranded, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, every single person in that cast has won either Stranded or Isolated. So I was definitely expecting the competition to be higher. And yeah, it definitely was. Everyone, just about everyone, maybe like one or two exceptions, I could see how they won their game because everyone was good.
Yeah. And I think the cool part, at least for me, was getting to see all the people again and getting to see them interact because, you know, you had someone like Levita, who was a brand new winner, having only played once. And then you got to see someone like Cataly and Melinda, who had played countless games, including some with the rest of the people. And, you know, for me, I never really connected with Christina or Kim. And so to get to see them play again and appreciate them a little bit more this time, I think was nice.
Yeah, definitely.
If you had a similar experience of meeting new people and also reconnecting with some old people.
Yeah, that was definitely cool, like reconnecting with people. Like, as I said, there was people in the cast who I sort of, they were familiar faces, but I hadn't like played with them or spoken to them in like 4 or 5 years. Yeah, but it was fun.
It's hard to say that you would have a regret being that you won, but is there something that you'd like wish you had done or someone you wish you had met that you didn't get to?
Someone I wish I met. I guess the obvious answer would have been like Cochrane on the other tribe.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's a regret because I know he can be pretty like, I feel like our styles are very opposite.
Well, it's funny because you guys from the same season originally, back when
that's
Cochran was a very, very green and not himself.
That was his first ever game. So I thought it would have been like full circle to come back and like meet up with him, but we never got the chance, obviously. But I wasn't sure how that would go either. I don't know. He said afterwards he would have worked with me, but maybe it wasn't a bad thing he left either.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Cochran would have worked with anyone, to be fair.
Yeah. Poor Cochran.
Yeah. Was there anyone that you were like impressed by that you hadn't considered before the season started?
Like people I didn't know, like Levita, I thought was fantastic from like the first round, but I think everyone thought that. So I was very impressed with her, and obviously she and I were very close. Henna as well. I mean, I sort of knew I'd heard he was good, but like he was extremely likable. Like I sort of thought like when we hit merge that like Henna would be someone who had gone straight away, just because we hadn't met until the merge, so we didn't have pre-merge connections. And then once we hit the merge, Cadley and I formed it didn't end up mattering a whole lot, but the foursome with me, Cadley, Tammy and Kim, that's sort of like a cross-tribal deal, like to protect each other across tribal lines. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to vote out Kim or Tammy. So then that leaves like people like Penna. Like I was just like, okay, well, he can just go. But then he and I talked a lot because of our time zones. We were on at like weird hours when the rest of the game were asleep. So we became close like that. And I think as well, I think a lot of my social connections were underestimated. Like I was closer to people on the jury than I think people realized.
Right.
And I think that helped me at the end, just because I wasn't necessarily online at like peak hours American time, but like often people like Levita, Kim and Cassandra would like stay up until like 3 a.m. their time to like catch up with me and talk to me for like hours. And I think that's why some people thought I wasn't around as much and maybe not a threat, but I was strategizing and bonding socially with people when they were asleep. So I definitely put in the hard work with a lot of people on the jury who voted for me.
So I guess from here, you've conquered Stranded twice. You've certainly won several other series, I know.
Yeah.
Is this going to be it for you for a while, or do you see yourself playing other games?
For now, I definitely need a break because I just did 2 in a row and won both of them. So I'm just like,
yeah.
So I feel like that's enough to like satisfy me for a little while. I'm sure I'll play again. Like I definitely don't play as much as I used to.
Right.
But eventually I'm sure I'll get bored and come crawling back. So I'm definitely not done. Do you mean in terms of like Stranded or just in general?
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'd play Stranded again, just because I feel like people would like vote me out first. Yeah. Is there like, do you think there's like any way I would not be voted out first?
I don't know. I think if it's an alias, I think you'd be fine. But I think like if it's open ID, I think there's too much of like a trophy for getting rid of you. You know,
people just want to take down the 2-time winner. I'd be like the Sandra.
Right. That's not to say it can't be done. I mean, Penner, in his second season, after being like really popular, did come back and made like the final 4. So, but Penner's, I mean, I think you guys are good. Yeah, I mean, you guys are good. So, if anyone could do it, I know it's one of you guys that could overcome that.
I don't really.
It would be hard though.
Yeah, definitely.
You were someone who, I guess you were kind of in the community. You had lurked a few seasons, but now the community, I think, is a lot more developed and lurking is a lot more intense in recent seasons. Do you see yourself hanging around, checking things out?
Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, so one Namibia, I think I co-hosted like 2 or 3 seasons after that. And then just after that, like lurked, but probably not like super actively.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely want to like get back into the community a bit more and keep up with the seasons, because I definitely lost touch a little bit. And that was a part of the reason as well why I wanted to come back, to meet all the new people, get back into it.
I think for me, what I found recently is like what I'm more interested in is finding super interesting people, because we're able to now. I think, obviously, we had good characters before and everything else, but I feel like now there's such a diversity in age, gender, sexual orientation, whatever. the people are so varied. I think that it's super interesting to get to meet all these people now. And I think that the gameplay is like much more personal than it has ever been. I don't know if that's attributed to like the live chats or if it's just the openness of the people that are applying. I'm not sure. But for whatever reason, lurking in the past like 2 or 3 seasons has been awesome.
Yeah. Look forward to the next season. When is the next season?
So right now we're planning Isolated that NoFo mainly hosts on the 14th, but the applications we got for that are awesome.
Oh, cool.
So I think that's going to be fun to watch.
Okay, I'll definitely try and keep up with it.
And Isolated's cool because we do a lot of like lurker interaction too. Like we'll do a vote or something just because, in the spirit of Big Brother, I think it's cool to have lurkers interact with the cast a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So, is there anything in the season that you like wanted to clear up or that you felt like you never, anything that you've heard us say about your game or anything inaccurate you think that you'd like to clear up?
I don't like I said, I don't really feel the need to like defend anything. Like,
yeah,
I played twice, I won twice. Like that says it all. I don't know. Like I get there was maybe more threatening people on the jury who would have beaten me if they made the end, but like that's why I voted them out. So right. I don't feel the need to like defend anything. Like if you want to ask anything, I'm happy to answer. But I don't feel the need to like clear anything up.
I don't know if you've heard any of the podcasts. I think at some point I was probably pretty anti you being in the game just because
I did hear that.
I thought it was so obvious that you were going to win. Not that I have a problem with you winning. I just wanted something more exciting, and I was dumbstruck as to why no one was targeting you.
Well, that's not my fault. That's the player's fault. The other player's fault.
No, I get that. No, I get that totally.
Yeah, I didn't.
Again, I'm satisfied with the season as a whole, and I'm satisfied with you being our 2-time winner. I think 9 times out of 10 you probably would win a season. So I just think that you've perfected under the radar, and I'm more interested in educating people on what that means, because I think the perception is that all I have to do is just be likable and float to the end, and I think it's a lot more nuanced than that.
Yeah,
we've seen plenty of people do that and fail. I mean, you were sitting next to Eve, who you could say didn't get her hands dirty too often, but was still likable, and she had 1 vote in the final.
Yeah, and I got 7, so there was a big difference.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Like I said, I feel like I struck the balance of making people feel that they needed me for their games, and therefore they wouldn't vote me out. Whereas I think, so I made them feel like they needed me for their games, but I also was not someone who was a big threat to their games in terms of like they couldn't beat me at the end. Because I think a lot of people were sort of, I'm pretty sure like everyone who made the merge, with the exception of like Joaquin and maybe Cassandra, because she did vote me quite a few times. But I think other than that, if I wasn't in everyone's final 3, then I was in their final 5. Like I'm pretty certain. Even people like Jeff Varner, like Penna, like they wanted to go to like final 5 with me. I'm pretty sure. So I think just because of the conversations I had with them, like they saw me as their best bet from the Moon inside. So I think I did a really good job at selling that, to making them feel like they needed me for their games. And I guess, like they still voted for me. So I voted them out. So I didn't I didn't oversell it to the point where they'd feel betrayed by me, but I did enough to make, I sort of found the right balance is what I'm trying to say.
I guess I have one more question. I think, at some point you had this really close bond with Catalina, Tammy, and Kim.
Yeah.
And then you also had your alliance with Russell. At what point did you decide Russell was the better bet?
That's a good question. So I was not, like, I know that Russell he had it set in his mind he was going to the end with Eve and I guess me for like a lot of the game. But then I think towards the end, he realized that I'd probably beat him and then wanted to go with Kim. I never had it set in my mind like 100% who I was going with. I mean, obviously, I tried voting out Eve, so I was not always set on going with her. I was confident I was sort of aiming for maybe like a final 3 with Russell and Kim. I thought I could win in that. So I think towards the end, I sort of realized I knew that Russell was not that well liked, and I figured that I could argue my game better than him because, yeah, I believed I played better.
Right. So it really just came down to not necessarily even who you could trust more, but who you thought you could beat.
Yeah, well, the thing is, was that Russell won, how many challenges in a row? So,
yeah, like 5, something like that.
So, if I ever wanted to vote him out, I probably couldn't have. But I wasn't... He sold me pretty hard. He wanted to go to the end with me. But I was pretty certain... I think I was pretty certain he was underestimating me. So I was confident I could beat him. Yeah, I think I was a lot closer with the jury than he realized.
Yeah.
And I sort of knew as well with my final tribal council, because my game was not necessarily out in the open. Some of it was under the radar. I definitely knew that my final tribal, I had to hard sell it, really go all out. And I was very happy with how I performed in final tribal. I think that is the reason why I won by such a big margin.
Right.
Because going into that, I don't necessarily think I had all those, because I won 7-3-1. I definitely don't think I had 7 votes going into that final tribal. Because I looked at some of the pre-votes, and Levita and Christina had both voted Russell going into the final tribal, and Jeff had voted Eve, and then I got all 3 of those. So I think I was very happy with how I was answering. I was confident that I could sway people.
Yeah, I think also Russell had a tendency to kind of piss off a lot of jurors too.
Yeah, I think the only people I pissed off were Cataly and Joaquin.
Right.
But, oh well, can't please everyone.
Yeah. I mean, you've kind of already answered this, but was it hard for you to betray people that you knew outside of the game and had previous friendships with?
It's I never feel good about betraying anyone, even in a closed ID game. Yeah, there's no one in the cast, no offense to anyone who feels different, but there was no one in the cast going into this who I was a close friend with, who, yeah.
Yeah,
you didn't talk to never every day. Yeah. There's I knew a lot of people, but there's no one who I was extremely close with, to the point where it would be okay, I can never vote this person out, or otherwise our friendship will be on the line. It was never really like that. Yeah. It was hard. I felt bad that Cataly was so upset, obviously, because I know her for a long time. So that final 7 vote was a bit tricky, just because I knew that voting out Joaquin would kill her game, but I knew if I didn't do that, it would kill my game. And obviously I wanted Joaquin out for a while because he and I didn't really click. I think that's pretty clear. And he was a big threat, obviously. So I couldn't really justify making moves based on what was for her game. And I guess she wasn't happy with how I justified that afterwards. And that's why she didn't vote for me. But
is there any hard feelings still?
No, we're fine. We'll be fine. I've seen that speech from her many times. Yeah. She's voted for me so many times in games. So I can't be mad at her that she didn't vote for me once. So yeah, I'm not upset with her, and I know she's not with me. We're fine.
That's good. I guess I just want to congratulate you on a game well played. I want to thank you for coming back, and kudos on the $200 and
thank you.
King of Stranded.
Yeah, am I the king or the queen? I don't know. I don't really need either.
Well, I think especially new players will certainly look up to your game. So I'm sure we'll have to have you back for some podcasts to talk with them about it.
Yeah, if you ever want to have me back, I'm happy to come back.
Awesome. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Not really. I just wanted to thank you for, I guess, having me back. Yeah, it was a fun season that I'll definitely always remember. And it was fun to come back like after 6 years, because that's quite a long time. So to be able to...
It really makes you feel old.
Yeah, definitely. I was like 20 back when I won the first time, and now I'm 26. So it's like, whoa, long time. But yeah, it was great to come back, and even better to win again. Obviously, that's not too shabby.
No, not at all. So thanks again. I think that's going to do it for this podcast. I'm sure we'll speak to you again in the near future. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye.
Okay, see you.